He thought she'd be humiliated at his wedding, but her epic entrance left everyone speechless. The chapel was decked out in white flowers and glimmering lights, but inside, tension thickened the air like fog rolling in from the ocean. Everyone's eyes were glued to the altar, but the real show was in the back, where whispers danced like the flickering flames of the candles. People murmured about Sarah, the ex-fiancée, who had shown up uninvited after vanishing from town months ago. Was she really going to ruin the happiest day of Jake's life? As the bride walked down the aisle, the sweet scent of peonies strung beneath in electric anticipation. Sarah remained in the shadows, hidden behind a rusted wooden beam. The faded blue of her dress a stark contrast to the pristine white surrounding her. She had the kind of beauty that turned heads, yet beneath that calm exterior, her heart raced like a wild animal caught in a trap. What would happen if she stepped forward? All her emotions, the hurt, the bitterness swirled inside her like a hurricane, threatening to burst free at any moment. Suddenly, a silence fell. The guests exchanged nervous glances, caught between shock and excitement. The priest coughed, breaking the moment, as if he sensed something unsaid in the air. Out of the corner of her eye, Sarah saw Jake's face drain of color. His brows knitted together tight, shoulders tensed like a coiled spring. The kind of tension you could cut with a knife. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Just as the first notes of a wedding march sang through the air, Sarah inhaled deeply. She stepped into the light. Gasps echoed through the chapel, murmurs heated up like a boiling pot, drowning out the solemnity of the moment. Could she really do this? In that heartbeat, the world seemed to freeze. All eyes aimed at the unthinkable twist unfolding before them. Would Sarah plunge into the chaos of heartbreak? Or would she defy fate in the most extraordinary way? Every soul present held their breath, waiting to see if her next move would leave them breathless. The chapel seemed to hold its breath, suspended in time as Sarah took a step, then another. Every heartbeat pulsed loud against the church's hushed walls. She could feel the weight of each gaze, some in shock, some in judgment, others wrapped in an odd curiosity. Jake's eyes locked onto hers, a mix of confusion and dread swirling in their depths. Sarah, his whisper was barely audible, but she heard it clearly. It was an invitation, a plea wrapped in uncertainty. The bride, a vision in white, turned to face the impending storm. Jenna's smile faltered, surprise morphing her perfect features into something raw. A wave of tension rolled through the guests, muttering like an electric current. Is this a joke? Jenna's voice sliced through the atmosphere, trembling with disbelief. The world tilted for Sarah, but she wasn't backing down. Her resolve solidified like iron. She had waited too long already. For months, she had hidden away, nursing wounds that felt like they'd never heal. But here she was, summoned by fate to reclaim what she lost, to snatch it back from the clutches of another. You don't know the whole story, Jenna. Sarah could feel her heart pounding in her ears, drowning out the whispers. You think you can just take over? Gasps erupted from the audience, a ripple of shock echoing through the wooden pews. Eyes darted from Sarah to Jake, searching for answers that hung heavy in the air. Sarah, stop. Jake stepped forward, his face a mixture of regret and fear. This isn't the place, not the place. She shot back, her voice rising. You think you get to decide that? You owe me the truth. An awkward silence followed, thick like a fog. All but a few held their breath, caught between anticipation and horror. The tension coiled tighter, each second feeling like an eternity. Jenna's expression hardened. You really think this is about you? You disappeared. You're the one who walked away, Sarah. And now you think you can just waltz back in and ruin everything? The word struck Sarah like a slap. What was she really doing? A part of her wondered if she was fighting for Jake or just for herself. Anger and vulnerability crashed into one another, making her dizzy. Maybe I'm tired of being quiet. Sarah felt the fire within her burn brighter. Maybe I deserve to know why you're marrying him after I thought we had a future together. A flicker of understanding crossed Jake's face, and he opened his mouth to speak, but Sarah cut him off. She couldn't let him explain. Not here, not now. Don't you dare say you were over me, Jake. I know you too well. The guests were on the edge of their seats now, the tension unbearable. Whispers escalated into a swell of sound, mirroring the whirlwind inside her heart. Then, a voice chimed in from the back. This is a circus. It was Tom, one of Jake's friends, known for his brash commentary. Let us get to the truth. Let us see what's really going on. His words sparked a new energy in the chapel. The crowd leaned in, captivated, as if a hidden camera had caught them all in a soap opera scene. Let us see if the groom really wants the bride, or if what he lost can still be found. As the crowd buzzed around her, Sarah felt the possibilities swirling. Would they stand by and watch her fight for her heart's desire? Was her story meant to be told here today? Jake stepped closer, uncertainty etched across his features. Sarah, but she couldn't wait for him to finish. Something in her surged, a wild hope amidst the chaos. Today changes everything. I refuse to stay silent any longer. And as she spoke those words, she knew she would either have to fight for love or face the consequences of exposing her past. Would they let her walk away this time? The air crackled with anticipation, and as she prepared for what might come next, a single question loomed over them all. How far was she willing to go to reclaim what was rightfully hers? The stillness shattered as Sarah's declaration hung in the air, charged with a fierce energy that bounced off the chapel walls. Eyes widened, breaths were held, and whispers erupted like firecrackers, igniting the crowd's curiosity. What is this all about? She can't be serious? Jake's jaw clenched, his eyes darting between Jenna and Sarah as if trying to stop an invisible whirlwind. Sarah, please, he pleaded again, but the tremor in his voice only fueled her resolve. What are you afraid of, Jake? Sarah shot back. The truth? Or that everyone will see how you've been playing both sides? The fight to reclaim her voice felt liberating, yet terrifying. Jenna stepped forward, her demeanor shifting from shock to anger. You think this is your stage? You vanished. You have no right to come here, but Sarah interrupted, shaking off Jenna's gaze like it was a weight. I have every right. This is my story too. You think everything is perfect because you're in a pretty dress? Beautiful doesn't mean sincere. The crowd leaned in closer now, caught up in the tension, pressing guilty pleasure in witnessing this clash of emotions. The murmurs swelled into a crescendo, drowning out the solemnity of the chapel's atmosphere. Faces turned towards Jenna, searching for a response, a crack in the perfect facade she had built. Is this what you wanted, Jenna? To wear my past like a crown? Sarah's voice sliced through the clamoring energy, raw and unfiltered, leaving an uncomfortable silence in its wake. Before Jenna could retort, Jake stepped up again, his assertive posture faltering. You need to stop this. You've had your chance, Sarah, he said, his voice cutting through the tension but tinged with an unmistakable sadness. Had my chance, Jake? She echoed, pain curling in the corners of her voice. You mean the chance to suffer quietly while you pretend to be happy with someone else? That is not a chance. That is a sentence. A collective gasp rippled through the congregation. The mix of outrage, sympathy, and disbelief washed over the crowd like a tide threatening to break the levee. What was she doing? The thought flickered in her mind for a heartbeat, but she drowned it out. This moment belonged to her, not the ghosts that had haunted her for months. Sweat gathered at her brow as she dared to swivel toward the audience. You all know I'm not wrong. You've seen the truth. How can you stand by and let this happen? With a sharp intake of breath, Jenna's expression transformed into one of unnerving confidence. You're desperate, Sarah. This is not love, this is chaos. Maybe chaos is exactly what we need, she shot back, her heart racing with adrenaline. A sudden noise pierced the chapel, a loud crash. Everybody turned to see one of the ornate wooden doors swing open, revealing a dark figure silhouetted against the sunlight. The gasp that escaped the audience stilled their hearts. Did someone say chaos? Eric, Sarah's older brother, stepped inside. His presence commanded attention, but the look on his face wasn't one of celebration. It was severe, as if he bore bad news. Sarah, we need to talk now. His urgency rippled through the already charged atmosphere. Eyes turned back and forth between the siblings, as tension mixed with hope and fear. The crowd felt electrified, sensing that whatever was about to unfold would change the dynamic completely. "She can't just do this," Jenna muttered, but Sarah tuned everything out. Reserved history loomed between her and her brother, and the weight of it pressed down upon them, nowhere to hide. "What does he mean?" Sarah questioned quietly, fear threading through her courage. Could this be the truth she feared? Or was it an opportunity in disguise? As the clock ticked away in the background, Sarah realized that whatever revelations were coming would change the course of this day forever. A sharp intake of breath from the crowd echoed Sarah's internal turmoil. The moment hung heavy. What did Eric know? Would she be prepared for the answer? And with that thought, uncertainty seeped into her heart. Would the truth bring her closer to love or shatter the very foundations of her hope? Eric's eyes locked onto Sarah, a frantic mix of concern and urgency reflected in his expression. "Listen, we need to talk about what, Eric? About how you've been gone for years. About how I'm standing here, supposed to celebrate a marriage built on lies." Her voice quivered, straining to break free from the weight pressing against her chest. The crowd was caught in a time loop, every heartbeat echoing the tension. Faces flickered between confusion and outrage, unable to decide whose side to take. Jake finally stepped forward, a desperate plea in his gaze. "Can't this wait? We should handle this outside." "No," Sarah shot back, her resolve hardening. "This will not be brushed under the rug. Not today." The electric tension pulsed around them, filling the air with a heavy anticipation. People shifted uncomfortably, whispering among themselves, their eyes darting from Sarah to Eric, trying to piece together the fractured family dynamics laid bare before them. "Things have changed," Eric finally managed, his voice low yet sharp as he struggled to conceal an undercurrent of dread. "You think you can just burst back into my life and stir things up like this?" "Burst back? I've had to live with the consequences of your decisions while I was gone," she retorted, bitter memories resurfacing like shadows. The familiar weight of familial baggage settled between them, and every ounce of anger, pain, and longing bubbled to the surface. The crowd could feel it, too. This wasn't just about a wedding. It was about betrayal, redemption, and everything that had been left unsaid. "Dad's sick," Eric blurted out, voice cracking with the weight of the admission. Murmurs erupted like wildfire around the chapel, people leaning in to catch every word. "He needs us, he needs you." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. For a moment, the crowd disappeared, and all that remained was the reality crashing down around her. The illness of her father they had kept hidden for so long. A rush of emotions spiraled within her. Anger battled sorrow, and regret tangled with the deep-seated love she still clung to for a man who once meant everything. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered, her voice barely audible above the tremors of disbelief. "I didn't want to burden you," Eric replied, voice softening. "You've been through enough. I thought you were better off." "Better off? You didn't even give me a chance." Her eyes glistened, furious and wounded at once. Across from her, the crowd held its breath, caught in the whirlwind of familial fallout. Jenna exchanged worried glances with Jake, unsure how this new bombshell would shift Sarah's trajectory. "Don't you see?" Eric continued, stepping closer. "You still matter." He gestured toward the gathering. "This is your family. It always has been." The silence that followed was palpable, heavy, and charged with unresolved feelings. Sarah felt every heart in the room beat like a drum, echoing the fight for clarity, love, and the right to choose her path. But could she reconcile the past with the very real possibility of healing? Could she muster the courage to face both her family and the truth lurking in the shadows? Just then, Jenna's voice broke through the tension, sharp and biting. "This is not your moment, Sarah. You think throwing old grievances around will solve anything? This is just drama." "Or maybe," Sarah challenged softly, staring at Jenna with all the defiance she could muster, "this is how I reclaim my voice." As Sarah took a deep breath, preparing to speak her mind once more, the door swung open again. This time, it was the last person anyone expected to see, their estranged mother. Gasps rippled through the crowd, and silence fell like a heavy curtain descending. Sarah's heart raced. Was this a chance for reconciliation or a step into more chaos? And just as quickly, thoughts spiraled. Would her mother bring peace or ignite further turmoil? The line between love and despair now blurred beyond recognition. Whatever happened next would send ripples through their lives, forever altering the fabric of family ties. The tension escalated as Sarah locked eyes with her mother, knowing the truth was about to spill out like the blood from a deeply hidden wound. And with that, the ground shifted beneath her feet, a new storm brewing just beyond the horizon. What was her mother doing here? And more importantly, was this the moment where everything truly unraveled? The chapel door swung wide, and there stood their mother, her presence like a ghost returning from the grave. Her frail figure, once towering with strength, now seemed diminished, a shadow of the matriarch they had known. A collective intake of breath filled the room, as every pair of eyes turned to her in disbelief. "Mom," Sarah's voice cracked, laced with confusion and unease. This was not how she imagined their reunion, even under the weight of a crumbling past. Her mother's gaze moved slowly, searching for the familiar faces she hadn't seen in years. A hint of sadness flickered across her features before she forced a smile, its fragility evident. "Sarah." Eric, she stepped inside, the sound of her heels echoing, sharp against the wooden floorboards. Eric stumbled back, shock evident in his movements. "What are you doing here? You shouldn't have come." But Sarah's heart was racing now, a beat where curiosity clashed with long-buried resentment. "You just show up after all this time?" Her words emerged before she could swallow them down. "What do you want?" "Things have changed," her mother said, her voice trembling slightly. "I've changed. We've all changed." The onlookers remained frozen, whispers growing louder in the corners like a storm rolling in. Jenna rolled her eyes, not believing the drama unfolding. "Really? This is all so scripted. What are you really doing here, Mom?" The older woman, disregarding Jenna's interruption, faced Sarah again. "I came to talk about your father, about everything." With the mention of their father, Sarah's anger shifted, wringing out any remnants of bitterness. "He needs you both. His health," is her voice faltered, but a thought threaded through the crowded space. "Is this why Eric brought up Dad?" The clarity mixed with dread, sending a ripple of emotion through the family lines stretched too thin. "Do you mean he is worse?" Sarah's breath caught as she pushed the question forward. The ache of potential loss surged within her, fighting against the years of unanswered questions and pain. "He has been silently struggling," her mother admitted, a lump forming in her throat as her gaze dropped. "I thought it was best to keep it from you. He wouldn't have wanted you burdened, not after everything." The room suddenly fell quiet, the air thick with memories of love and loss. Sarah's heart ached, caught between anger and the instinct to reach out, to bridge the gap of time and distance. "What gave you the right?" Eric's voice broke the silence, filled with indignation. "You think you can just come back after abandoning us? You don't get to choose when to care." "I know I lost my right to call myself your mother long ago," she said sharply. Her eyes glistened. "But I came to beg for your forgiveness, to help repair what I've fractured." The weight of sorrow pressed against Sarah, and her eyes burned with unshed tears. Forgiveness? Could she offer that when so much had gone unaddressed? Jenna crossed her arms, her voice dripping with skepticism. "This is all too neat, too convenient. You show up just when the focus is on Dad. We all see through this act." "Jenna, stop," Eric warned, but uncertainty flickered in his own eyes. Sarah's heart sank. Was it all just manipulation? "Look, I can't explain everything, but we lost him the moment we let silence build walls between us," their mother implored, desperation threading her words. The crowd watched, their anticipation rising like tension before a storm. Sarah glanced around at familiar faces, each one shadowed with memories of laughter and conflict. Would rekindling their past lead to healing, or would it ignite a war that might tear them apart for good? And just as doubts tightened their grip, the door swung open once more. Another face appeared in the doorway, a familiar silhouette with a haunting presence that sent a thrill through everyone. Everyone turned to see who it was, a wave of uncertainty crashing against the already fragile atmosphere. The true weight of secrets was still lurking, waiting to spill over. Would this new arrival provide the answers they desperately needed, or unleash a torrent of chaos they couldn't contain? The moment pulsed with potential, leaving Sarah breathless and searching for a way to navigate the tempest that awaited. The familiar figure stepped forward into the chapel, the low light catching the glint of a silver locket hanging around her neck. As the door creaked shut behind her, Sarah felt the air thicken, the energy of the room shifting like a tide. It was Amy, their estranged cousin. The last time they'd seen her was at Grandma's funeral, a somber gathering filled with too many unspoken feelings. "What are you doing here?" Eric blinked, disbelief etched across his features. "You weren't invited." Amy shrugged, her defiance mingling with a disarming smile. "Family matters, right? Just like yours." "I overheard Mom's words and thought it was time to come back home." The murmurs escalated, reactions breathing life into tension. Jenna shot a glance towards Sarah, eyebrows raised, silently questioning what this all meant. "Home," Sarah echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. "This hasn't felt like home in years. But it could be again," Amy shot back with an unsettling confidence. "If you all stop tearing each other apart." Her words seemed directed at their mother, who stood frozen, her face growing paler. Amid the shifting emotions, Sarah felt a flicker of hope. Did you come to want something?" She yearned for answers, not just from Amy but from everyone surrounding her. The stories hidden in the past felt like they were woven into the very air they breathed. "I came to help," Amy declared, the weight of her statement resonating around the room. "Together, we can face whatever's coming," she added resolutely. "Whatever's coming." Eric's voice was edged with skepticism, but the way Amy stood her ground made it hard to dismiss her. "What do you mean?" At that moment, the walls of the chapel seemed to tremble under the weight of collective uncertainty. Everyone shifted, searching for clarity. "I've seen things you wouldn't believe." Amy's eyes glinted with something darker. "Family secrets buried under the floorboards. Things that affect all of us, especially Dad. We need to unite because he's not the only one who's been hiding." Gasps rippled through the group, and Sarah pressed her lips together, trying to quell the surge of emotions. She had often felt like the family's emotional barometer, always measuring the silence, the discontent that threatened to erupt. "Secrets?" Eric spat out. "What could you possibly know that we don't?" "Too much," Amy countered, her voice lowering. "And if I don't tell you now it won't just hurt Dad. It'll shatter all of us." The crowd shivered at the gravity of her words. Visions of fragmented relationships, of friendship ruined, sibling bonds severed, love twisted into perverse shapes danced in Sarah's mind. She could feel the looming darkness on the edges of their family tree. "But why should we believe you?" Jenna challenged, crossing her arms defensively, sensing that the fragile spell woven by Amy might break. "Because I don't want to see this family fall apart." Amy's voice softened, a flicker of emotion lighting her features as she turned toward their mother. "And neither should you." As the tension became palpable, the heavy atmosphere throbbed with unspoken truths. Would the revelation of their family's hidden dynamics strengthen their bond or suffocate them with despair? Suddenly, just when they thought the tide was shifting in Amy's favor, they heard the muffled sound of approaching footsteps from outside, a harbinger drawing closer, dragging chains of fate behind them. "What's that?" Sarah's voice quivered as dread swept through the room, her eyes darting toward the door now held ajar. In that instant, the promise of new revelations loomed, mixing with the chill of anticipation. What awaited them on the other side? Would the chaos within unravel, and who would emerge when the dust settled? The chapel door creaked open, casting a dull beam across the floor. A tall, dark figure filled the opening, blocking out the dim light. It took a moment for Sarah to register who it was. Her heart raced. It was their Uncle Jack, his face etched in shadows and tension. "Jack!" Eric stepped forward, brows pinching in confusion. "What are you doing here?" "Not now, Eric." Jack's voice was a gravelly whisper, strained and urgent. He scanned the room, eyes landing on Amy, disbelief melting into concern. "You shouldn't have come back," he said, a hint of desperation in his tone. "What is going on?" Amy challenged, stepping closer to the group. "You're one to talk about danger." "I came for help, not to be pushed away." "Help?" Jack shot back, the noise rising like a storm. "You don't even know what's out there. You think this is a game?" He swallowed hard, glancing at Sarah, then Jenna. "Things have changed since you left." As if summoned by his words, a chill gust swept through the chapel, rattling the stained glass windows. Sarah shivered, the growing unease turning the room heavy with dread. She felt the connection with her family fraying, leaving her suspended in the air with no ground beneath her. "What do you mean by that?" Sarah's voice now flowed with a mixture of confidence and fear, propelled by her desire for answers. What has changed? Jack hesitated, his eyes darting away for a brief moment. He looked aged, worn down, as though the weight of 1,000 secrets had taken their toll. The things we buried. The conflict that drove you all apart? It's come back and it's worse. If Amy's right, we're running out of time. What do you see, Uncle? Jenna's question was barely a whisper, but it dripped with vulnerability. The family account, Jack said slowly, hesitating as if he burrowed into thoughts buried deep. It's gone. Someone has taken things they shouldn't have. There are records hidden, truths that must stay hidden. If they're unearthed, what little we have left will be destroyed. Sarah exchanged glances with Jenna and Eric, a torrent of emotions bubbling inside. How could any of this be real? What do you want us to do? She asked, urgency pushing her words. Jack's gaze shifted again for a split second, landing on Amy. You're the one who knows, or at least can figure it out. His tone was clipped, carrying a weight she couldn't ignore. But it won't be easy. Someone else watching you. What do you mean? Amy's voice cracked as fear seeped into her bravado. Suddenly, the door swung open wider, revealing an empty night outside, only a sliver of moonlight illuminating the dark path ahead. The footsteps had stopped, but an eeriness lingered in the space. It was as if miles of dusk blanketed the ground, wrapped in anticipation. Stay close, Jack murmured, a chill of vulnerability creeping back into his tone. We'll need each other more than ever. As uneasy murmurs rose in the air, Sarah felt the gravity of the moment weighing down on her. Are we trapped here? Is it too late? Not if we act now, Jack replied, clenching his jaw. But we have to be smart. Silence hung between them, thick and heavy, everyone acutely aware of what lay beyond the door and what was at stake inside. Just then, a chilling scream echoed through the chapel, sharp and piercing like shattered glass, a siren of dread slicing into their fragile unity. What was that? Eric's voice dripped with fear. Jack's expression hardened as he threw the door wide open and stepped out into the darkness. Shadows shifted at the edge of the light, concealing the unknown. Stay together. We might not be alone. He barked back, breath quickening. Sarah stood frozen. What new horrors awaited them in the night? Would they dare confront the terror lurking just out of sight? She took a deep breath, heart hammering, and felt the pulse of her family around her. There was no turning back now, only the chilling unknown ahead. Cold fear clawed at Sarah's insides as she stood at the chapel door. Jack's stern warning echoed in her mind. They weren't just stepping into the night, they were stepping into danger. The darkness felt alive, shrouded in mystery and threat. The scream still hung in the air, a haunting reminder of the fragile peace they'd just shared. Come on, Eric urged, nudging her shoulder as he followed Jack, Jenna, and Amy outside. Reluctantly, Sarah moved forward, her heart pounding in her chest like a drum. The moon hung low, its light barely piercing the thick blanket of night. Shadows danced around them, stretching and wavering with the movement of the trees. The cold air whipped past, and Sarah's breath came out in short, anxious puffs. Where did that scream come from? Jenna whispered, peering into the inky darkness. The unease in her voice matched the flutter in Sarah's stomach. I don't know, Jack replied, his tone low and tense. But we're running out of time. We need to figure this out before whatever that was circles back. He led the group towards the trees, each step taking them further away from the sanctuary of the chapel and deeper into the unknown. Sarah could feel eyes watching them, a silent judgment from the shadows, making her skin prickle. What do we even know that could help us? Amy pressed, panic creeping into her voice. I don't even understand what is going on. How do we protect ourselves? Jack paused, his brows knitting together as if considering everything that had led them here. We need to find the old family records. There might be something hidden away that tells us who we're really dealing with, or what we're up against. Great. So we're diving headfirst into a family mess, Eric said, trying to offer a smirk but only managing a grimace. That sounds safe. A crack echoed somewhere in the distance, and they all froze. The chirping of crickets stopped suddenly, replaced by a silence that felt suffocating. Jack turned sharply, scanning the area. Everyone, stay close. He urged them forward, his voice edged with authority and something else, fear. They stepped cautiously, the gravel crunching beneath their feet, when suddenly a rustling brought them to a halt. A figure emerged from the brush, backlit by the silvery moonlight. Sarah squinted, heart racing as the outline became clearer. "Who is there?" Jack called out, his voice steadier than any of them felt. The figure raised its hands, stepping into the light a stranger, tousled hair and wild eyes. "Please, you have to help me," he exclaimed, voice trembling with desperation. "It's not safe here." "What? What do you know?" Amy rushed forward, drawn in by urgency. "They're coming. They know you're here." He glanced over his shoulder, fear flashing across his face. "You have to leave now." "Leave? Leave where?" Sarah pressed, anxiety knotting her chest. "What is happening?" Without warning, the leaves rustled violently, and shadows began to move in the darkness around them. A cold wind whipped through the trees, carrying with it a palpable menace. "Run!" Jack shouted, fear etched in his features like a raw wound. To Sarah, time slowed. She felt torn between sprinting deeper into the woods or running back to the chapel. But she saw the edge in Jack's eyes, a true fear unmatched, compelling her to act. "What is going on?" Jenna cried, panic spilling from her voice. Before they could move, silhouettes flickered at the edges of the forest, bringing to life the terror they had silently dreaded. "Over there." Sarah lunged, pointing towards a faint glow in the distance, a flickering that seemed to guide them, tempting them with the promise of safety and answers. They had to decide quickly. Was that light hope or a trap? With a swift glance exchanged between them, they sprinted toward it, adrenaline surging through their veins. Each footfall echoed the urgency enveloping them. But as they ran, the darkness seemed to close in, the sense of being hunted sharpening. What awaited them at the light? Was it salvation, or something far worse? Their hearts pounded in synchrony as they raced toward the flickering glow, an apparition in the thick veil of night. The chilling shadows, seemingly alive, twisted with every step they took. Sarah stole a glance back, expecting to see that wild-eyed stranger trailing behind, but he had vanished as quickly as he appeared, leaving only unease lingering in his wake. "Keep moving," Jack urged, his voice piercing through their collective panic. The light ahead lured them like a beacon, but beneath the surface, Sarah felt a gnawing dread. What if it was just a mirage? As they hurtled past gnarled roots and low-hanging branches, a deep rustle enveloped them. The forest felt wrong, as if it were holding its breath, anticipating their every move. "Do you hear that?" Jenna paused, eyes wide with terror. The sound was low at first, like whispers swirling among the trees. But it escalated, morphing into a cacophony of indistinct voices, rising and falling in a haunting lullaby. Each syllable sent chills racing up Sarah's spine. "You're not alone," it seemed to say, echoing her deepest fears. "What is out there?" Amy gasped, glancing over her shoulder, searching the darkness for an unseen threat. Jack's face hardened, his resolve waning under the weight of her question. "We're not stopping. Focus on the light." They pressed on, but with every stride, the glowing source pulled away, drifting further instead of giving them hope. Panic surged, transforming their sprint into a frenzied dash. "Jack, it's too far," Eric shouted, out of breath but driven by a primal survival instinct. Rounding a bend, they were momentarily thrust into a clearing. The moon bathed the area in tepid light. In the center stood an ancient oak, its twisted branches extended like skeletal fingers reaching toward the sky. Beneath it lay scattered pages, fluttering like trapped souls caught in a torrential wind. That tree, Sarah pointed, recognizing it from a faded photograph her grandmother had shown her. "It's connected to the family histories." But before Jack could respond, a shrouded figure appeared from behind the trunk, stepping into the light. It was a woman, her features obscured by a tattered cloak. "You shouldn't have come," she warned, voice barely above a whisper, yet carrying the weight of urgency. "Who are you?" Jack demanded, tension coiling tighter in the air. "They are watching. They will know if you linger." She gestured to the roots at her feet, where the torn pages lay scattered like leaves in fall. "The answers you seek are here. But not all truths are free from consequence." "What do you mean?" Sarah's heart raced at the implications. The woman stepped closer, removing the hood with a fluid movement. Her face was familiar. It was Sarah's great-aunt, long believed dead, yet here she was, alive, eyes filled with a warning that could shatter worlds. "Listen," Sarah, you must know. Her words were cut off by a thunderous crash from deeper within the woods. The group spun around, dread coiling in their stomachs once more. Trees splintered and a low growl reverberated through the darkness, the unmistakable promise of something sinister approaching. "Run!" Jack shouted, gripping Sarah's arm tightly. They turned again, fleeing the clearing with no idea if her great-aunt intended to follow. The voices grew louder now, an echoing chant. They surged forward into the night, the echoes chasing them like hounds unleashed. With every twist and turn, the feeling of being hunted intensified. Shadows tightened their grasp, swirling around them, urging them along in a dance of terror. But just as they thought they were gaining ground, a crushing weight settled over them. The temperature plummeted, and Sarah felt an icy touch brush against her skin, like a hand from the abyss. "Something behind us." Jenna screamed. In that moment, the glow vanished. The path ahead dissolved into darkness once more, leaving only the cacophony of despair swirling in their minds. What hunted them, and could they escape? As they stumbled, panting, into the unknown, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that whatever awaited them was far worse than the shadows. She looked back once more, half expecting to see her great-aunt beckoning them back, but instead, only despair loomed, a chilling portent that whispered words too horrifying to comprehend. What decision would they face next? Would they fight the darkness or become a part of its story? As they dashed through the frigid night, the chaos around them became almost surreal. Jack led the charge, his instincts honed like a soldier's, erupting in a booming, protective voice. "Stay close. We need to make it back to the chapel." Frantic breaths echoed in the air, merging with the growing sound of something snarling behind them, guttural and wild. It sent icy fingers up their spines. "Don't look back," Jack commanded, glancing over his shoulder, eyes wide with determination as fear threatened to seep into them all. Sarah could hear the pounding of her own heart, matching the rhythm of heavy footsteps pursuing them, hot and relentless. They broke into the clearing again, lungs screaming for oxygen. As she stumbled toward the chapel, the trees appeared to close in, their branches clawing at the cool night air like spiraling hands, begging them to stay. "We can't let it catch us," Sarah cried, drawing adrenaline from somewhere deep within, desperately seeking the strength to push on. "Over there," Amy shouted, pointing toward a small path she recognized lit vaguely by the moon. "The chapel is down that way." The urgency wrapped around them, pushing them forward. Each step felt like a teleportation through horror, leaving the remnants of their past tangled up with the present. But then they heard a crash right behind them, like thunder tearing through the night, and for a moment, panic threatened to swallow them whole. They were mere seconds away from danger, just heartbeats before becoming prey. "No!" Jack yelled, a surge of protective instinct driving him forward as he tightened his grip on Sarah's arm. "Push harder." They stumbled onto the chapel grounds, and the old building loomed, an ancient sentinel against the horrors of the night. Jack shoved the door open, and they poured inside, gasping for breath, hearts racing. The moment they crossed the threshold, the heavy church doors slammed shut, cutting off the echoes of the forest. Shadows flickered in the corners, the faint scent of incense almost emboldened by their fear. Sarah spun around to face the doors, leaning against the cool wood, listening to the heavy thud of their hearts matching the thrum of their anxiety. "Did we lose it?" she asked, half hopeful, half dread-ridden. Jack nodded, clearly bracing for more chaos. "For now, but we can't stay here long." As the adrenaline began to cool in their systems, they gathered in a huddle, the tension palpable. "Let us figure out what the hell just happened," Jenna said, trying to maintain a shred of control in the chaos that was threatening to unravel again. Amy shifted closer to Jack, her voice a whisper. "What did that woman mean?" "The answers are here." Jack rubbed his temples, trying to piece together the puzzle. "We need to find the hidden records. They spoke of them earlier, and whatever is lurking out there might be connected to those truths," he said, determination renewed in his voice. "But where do we even begin?" Eric chimed in, scanning the walls filled with faded portraits and ancient relics of a bygone era. "How do we know we're safe here?" Suddenly, they heard a soft rustle near the altar, and the group turned in unison, hearts deadened to a murmur. From the shadows emerged their great aunt, a flicker of serenity plastered across her face, a light emitting warmth in the chilling atmosphere. "You're still here," she stated, her tone laced with concern. "Is it over?" Sarah whispered, doubt clouding her mind. "Not yet," her great-aunt replied gravely. "Then what now?" Jack pressed, urgency thrumming his voice as it settled like a weight on their shoulders. "There are paths in this chapel that haven't been disturbed for years, remnants of our family's legacy. The truth about our past is woven into every beam, every shadow," she explained, her gaze falling to the wooden floor beneath them. "If you are to confront what is coming, you must first uncover what has already been." Sarah's heart raced with a mix of fear and hope. Could they truly unravel the family ties that bound them while confronting the ominous threat behind? "Let us search," she declared, her voice suddenly strong. "Together, we can face whatever this is." And as they ventured deeper into the forgotten sections of the chapel, each step pounding against the heartbeat of the family's intertwined history, they felt connected not just by fear, but by an unbreakable bond, ready to face whatever truth awaited them in the shadows. In that moment a flicker of resolve ignited within them. They would fight for their family, for truth, and for love. Whatever came next, they would face together. And as the last echoes of the outside world faded into the quiet sanctuary, Sarah realized they had crossed the threshold into something greater. They had found the courage to confront not only their past, but also the specters that lurked just beyond the door. "Are we ready?" Amy asked, her voice trembling slightly, but underlined with a fierce determination. "Ready as we'll ever be," Sarah replied, sharing a glance of unspoken understanding with her family as they delved into the depths. The echoes of their shared struggles rang louder than the shadows whispering outside. Together, they would not just rise above chaos. They would reclaim their legacy, united against the fears that had haunted them for so long. Now, as their resolve pulsed through the dimly lit chapel, Sarah felt the flickering flickers of strength igniting within her, daring the darkness to challenge them. The truth awaited, and they were more than ready to face it. Before her resolve could falter, the chapel doors creaked open, revealing the world outside cloaked in shadows. "I want let us be torn apart again," Sarah whispered fiercely to the air, as if daring the unknown to come forward. Because in that moment, they were not just a family, they were warriors, ready to reclaim everything that was rightfully theirs. It was time to fight back. You need to subscribe now, so you don't miss any exclusive content that unfolds next. This is the moment to show your support. Smash the like button now to fuel the algorithm and keep this community alive. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about what is going to happen next. And don't just keep it to yourself, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to help us grow.